Hello, good morning. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. You are live today right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. You're joined by me, Dom, Master Mateo. That is Kyle Williams, members of Clover Trading. Going to get you some pre-market prep this morning. This is our pre-market show, which we do every single day that the market is open. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:45 a.m. Wednesdays for a little bit of live trading starting at 9:15 a.m. That schedule should be linked in the description. Don't ever forget it. But welcome in Kyle. He is joining us today as Huddie has started his gallivantery.
We're back. We're here. I imagine, as Huddie, when I just left Europe, Huddie goes to Europe, so play a little switcheroo. Probably some less things he'll be a part of. That's all right. I will step in, this today being one of them.
But don't worry, guys. I am here. You won't lose me.
Your trusty steed and leader of the ship, Dom, will be right here.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm afraid of that long of a plane ride. Don't worry about it. It is the 28th day of June, year of our Lord 2024, also known as the last day of the month. We could also call it halftime is approaching. This is the final few seconds on the clock before we hit the halfway point of the year. Pretty crazy to think that we are at the midpoint. I think it's kind of positive and not really negative, but like mentally you can look at it pretty positively. Whatever you've struggled with, any of the mistakes you've had, maybe it's not been the year you wanted, you still have exactly as much time that's already happened left to make those changes. All too often I feel like we get to like November and then you feel like you finally figured it out and there's not enough time to really recorrect the year. We've already had some great trades, some great mistakes. Fifi happened this first half, if you will. Plenty of time for Kyle and myself to get back on track following that. And it's a great time to go through your stats. If you haven't already, check out Kyle's spreadsheet tracking. It's what I use. It's what all the Clovers use to track all their trades. It's been unbelievable and getting me back on track this year and making me a more disciplined trader. But go through, come up with my, what do you do? Do you do a halfway point thing? Because I know there's the yearly and the monthly.
Like if I want to do I definitely don't update the yearly review every month. So like every quarter, I would update the yearly review. So I know people like to do quarterly because you only have to update that and then 4 times a month or 4 times a year just to see how your year is going, versus having to do it every single month along with the monthly review. It just disperses the updating that you have to do with it. So yeah.
Well, I think it's good to know. We've been through a couple different market cycles as well. But all right, I hope you guys.
Well, we were just doing what?
Oh, so we must be lagged or something.
Was it? Are we? It's probably me. But what was it? The live trading portion of Monday where we were just talking. There was a great question of like how much should you risk and expect to make, and then we were going through like past months, and it just makes me laugh. I remember hearing your frustration. You're like, how do you know that?
It's important stuff, and Kyle has it all down. Yeah. And I only have it for the last year. So I promise you, one day, if you do make it to 5, 6, 7, 10 years in, you're going to want all that information. It's very valuable stats, and you can start today. Start tracking. Make sure you have everything on paper. We got Jack Kellogg in the Clover chat on YouTube. Good morning. William Gregory, Angel, Celine, Humbled Ninja. Good morning. Good morning. We have a pretty light gapper list this morning. I see a few friendly names. Cosm is something I guess not all of us, I remember from the past. Lucy is a recent runner. We'll see what that one looks like. We'll talk about those. Get to any questions that you guys have. If you do have any other tickers or any questions that you want to talk about, probably will have time today. As always, make sure if you haven't already, check right now. And I want everyone to just say this out loud to themselves. Am I subscribed to the Clover Trading YouTube channel? Little tree. If yes, participate in the next question. If no, click subscribe. It's free. It's easy. It helps support the channel and keeps us showing up every day. And then next question, have I liked the video? If yes, put both thumbs up and just smile at the screen. And if no, hit that little thumbs up button. Get that number to 50. And everyone will be happy. All righty, we're here. We're live. We're ready to go. What?
That was like a infomer, like a program. Like if you look to your left, if you have selected this question, move on to the next page.
I don't think I could have made it any easier.
Please select an answer. Very direct. I love the teaching there. That was perfect.
Yep, it's easy to
Anyways.
do. Easy for everyone to do. Easy for me to ask. Easy for you guys to do. Let's get into it. First gapper of the day, COSM. Let's head on over to the tracker that tracks stuff. Cosmos Holdings, 16.51 million float. Drug manufacturers. 17 hours ago, Cosmos Health signed exclusive distribution agreement with PharmaLink for its Sky Premium Life nutraceuticals in the UAE. Receives initial purchase order for 130,000 units. All right, they're happy about it. They also have negative 5.9 months of cash left, based on a quarterly burn of 5.53 mil a quarter. Yikes.
Ouch.
Let's see if there's anything in the dilution. What are we at? We're at $1.16. So there's some warrants at $1.45. Says they have to be, what's the word? Approved by some shareholder.
Right.
I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
I don't know. Maybe some big investor they have, and who's also on the board.
They're giving him a call this morning.
Yeah, I'd be like, can we just dilute the crap out of you? And he's giving them yes or no. That's how I imagine it would go. But who knows if that's actually how it goes.
Okay, it was 16.5 million float. Not small, not big chart wise. If you see any weirdness on my chart, I don't know what's going on, but it looks like yesterday's just been deleted. So on the gappers, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, unless Kyle needs to tell me that there was a big green day or big red day or something the day before. But on Cosm, we're gapping up through this 90-cent area, up as high as $1.49 this morning. Yeah. Let's go back and see. When did we play this one? Was it back in 2020?
Yeah, this was the ticker that, when was it? It was December 2023, December 16th. This did a reverse split. I've only seen this happen twice, I believe. Did a reverse split, and for whatever reason, I forget which broker it was. It was either E-Trade or somebody else, or like Robinhood. They didn't do the reverse split correctly. Meaning that anyone who, I think, short sold the stock now had either more shares to short or had a bigger short position, or people who sold the stock the day before the split. Like, say I was long 10,000 shares and I sold all 10,000, or sold 9,000, let's say, it didn't account for those shares splitting. So it's like I still had, it's like I only had 1,000 shares long, but then I had 9,000 shares short, even though I sold the 9,000 shares on the long side. So it created this huge awkward dynamic of like a ton of people were short when they just either didn't even plan to, or didn't even know they were. And so then that led to everyone needing to covering those shares to make their books kind of accurate and have the split actually be correct. And again, I could be off on that mechanism, how that works. That's just my understanding of why it was the way it was, because then it created a stock that, reverse split to $8, gap down to 4, but then the next thing you know, by late day, it's at 24. I mean, it was a huge squeeze. And then the funny part is, the moment the after hours ended, it's pretty much when everyone who was short, whether they wanted to be or not, was finally finished. And that's why you see the gap down back down to 8, because it was the true definition of just a short squeeze. Because once the short squeeze ended, it was over. It went right back to where it should have gone, where it should have been the entire time, which was $8. Pretty interesting event there.
Which run was that? That was 2022.
That was December. Yeah, I guess it is 22. December 2022. Yeah, December 16th.
Yeah, I can't quite see it good enough. Put back in here. Okay, and what do we think about it this morning as we gap up 76%?
Not as much dilution, but although they need cash, who knows what tricks. I know. Sometimes, guys, this is a little doggy dog world we live in, small caps. I'm obviously I'm biased because I'm a short seller at heart, but like there are companies who can't dilute, so they'll short their own stock until they can dilute. Not saying this is at all, you can't prove if they do or don't. But as you were talking and bringing up Cosm and the dilution tracker, I was just like, this this company is just when I look at the chart, I'm like, we've just had such a crappy basket of gappers this week. Like we talked, we maybe over talked and over nailed it or hammered the nail in the coffin yesterday, but like we're just in the trend of gappers that really just do not go anywhere. Of course, eventually there's going to be a shift, and there's going to be one that surprises people and does runs, and maybe Cosm's it. But when I just look at this chart, this is again just something that just never gets going. It's got a couple runs where it's ran, a few green days in a row, or like some kind of choppy slow period, like September of last year was a bit choppy. It ran from 1 to 2 over like 2 weeks, but that's not exciting. That's not fun. That's not volatile. And this is really one of the biggest gaps it's had in the last 3 years. To show you, or 2 years. So to give an idea of like how much people care about this thing in general, like there's almost no volatility to the fact that this is the biggest gap up it's had, I should say, really ever, at least since 2022. That to me seems like no one cares, and the odds that this running in a strong manner are probably slim to none. Especially on a slow Friday when this is really the only biggest gapper. I could be dead wrong. For momentum's sake, I hope I'm dead wrong, but that's just the immediate gut feeling I'm getting, which is it's not the market for him right now.
Yeah, it feels like not the right day either. Momentum has kind of shifted. I'm trying to think. Yesterday, the gappers we had, BSFC got smoked. What was there? Oh, the cheapies. There was the cheapies. Those went down as well.
It was INOM.
IONM. It just feels, and it's the end of the month. I don't know how that plays into it or not, but it does just feel like it's going to be a slower Friday based off of the selection of gappers and just kind of where we left off yesterday. There's nothing really that people were buying a lot of yesterday into the close to gap into today. There's just not a lot of buying momentum right now. In this specific example, it's a stock that doesn't really, even on big volume, you look back at that day in September, and it did 41 mil, but it was kind of like a doji day. And today looks like we'll probably eclipse that, so there will be increased volume that we haven't seen for quite a while in this chart. But I'm not expecting much out of it. It's not a super quick mover. It's going to be 15 mil float. Let's see what kind of action we're getting pre-market. Yeah, pretty small little moves on decent volumes. It's holding up near the highs. We'll see if it can muster up anything, but it really is only up 80% right now. It's not like, I think this is probably most people's top watch, but it's not the most exciting top watch. So from a long perspective, no interest. And from a short perspective, it's not up a ton. But if you're a gap and crapper, I'd feel probably pretty good about it today. Lucy is the next one on the list. Recent runner. Let's see what it looks like on the daily chart, but there is basically nothing else because this is only up 40%. And it's number 2 on the list. I gotta sneeze. Talk, Kyle.
Bless you.
Oh, it didn't count.
Sometimes you say bless you before, you just like, what?
I accept the blessings.
Okay.
Lucy, big runner from earlier this year. We've kind of hammered home probably the fundamentals over at Dilution Trackers because it was like 3 days where we were talking about it nonstop on these gaps and runs. But it ran from 18 to $1, went down over 50%, and then the next day was breaking out again, some wicks to the upside, and has faded quite nicely. This is actually the first green print we really see since that run. On okay volume right now, 47 mil, up as high as 56 in the pre-market. Kind of holding up. I don't see any news. Do you see news?
Let me double check. No.
I don't see any filings either.
Yeah.
So it could just be that it's popping because it's been beaten down for so long. Maybe big short cover, some buyers came back in. Who knows? But it is really not of interest. People probably ask, is this a first green day for me? No, this is a day one gapper because, once we kind of, for me, the way I kind of decide that is once I'm like done with the first phase, once we're done with the first section of the life cycle of a penny stock, we have the big run, we have a pullback, first red day, we have kind of a mix of reversal / breakout, and then there's really nothing for me here besides potentially a breakout. And once we fade off and break the death line and the volume is gone, that's kind of what separates the next play for me, which is volume. The next time I see volume on this is like day one of a new move. And when day one happens this close to this move back here, I don't really get too excited to the long side because I expect there to be a lot of bag holders from this run who maybe they're in from 80, a dollar, 96 cents, whatever it is, and they're looking for a way out, and the stock's finally gapping up. Maybe it runs towards those areas. I just expect there to be excess supply, and I prefer on the long side not to fight excess supply. So short perspective, not up a lot, only up 37% right now. Long perspective, it can bounce. We've seen plenty of them do it, but it's not a high odds situation. I'd rather be buying stocks into resistance breaks that is blue skies ahead and, you know, not a lot of resistance overhead that it should be easier for it to run.
I agree. Yeah, nothing to add there. Spot on. I do like what you said though before we even brought up Lucy, which is it's a Friday and it's the end of the month. It's kind of like people are just ready for either a new start or are starting their vacations. So I suspect today being on the slower side of things. Doesn't have to be, but it wouldn't shock me. I've seen many Fridays in general or many Fridays towards the end of a month or a quarter that are just like people are just over it. They're ready for a new start.
You have like Fridays in the summer where if the market is at all not on fire, like people just don't want, like, I'm gonna go up north this weekend, and I'm like, I guess we can probably get away with going early, like noon or 1. And I think a lot of people have that perspective all across states that they really celebrate summer. They go to their lake houses, they like going to the water, they want to go golfing, whatever it is. And if the market's just not there, no one's around. And you see a lot of summer Fridays like that where there's just nothing, where normally people are like, it's a Friday, you got to buy something in Power Hour, where there's nothing even to play in Power Hour. That's just the way it is. We are, pretty much peak summer now. We're almost July. 4th of July is next week.
Right.
Maybe we should get some special code or something for people for 4th of July. We'll have to talk about that over the weekend. But,
yes, we can.
It's summertime, and you got to really pick your spots and know when it is time to push, when it is time to pull back, being very selective in terms of the quality of the opportunity that we're playing, and not to just push, because we've seen over the past few summers, there are great trades to be had when the volume is there, liquidity, the attention on these stocks is there, and the interest. And when it's not, it's just best to just chill, just be a turtle, nice and slow and steady, and all your dreams can come true.
Absolutely.
Someone said, someone did ask that. Say, is Lucy considered first green day or just subsequent pump and dump? I didn't call it that, but because I don't know if it's being pumped. But yeah, not a first green day for me. Just a day one gappa.
Yeah. Makes me think of that common topic we have to say. Like there are stocks that have its first green day, and then there are stocks that have the first green day set up. Technically, yes, Lucy is having its number one green day of maybe some kind of run if it goes multiple days. We don't know yet. Versus the first green day setup, which is what Dom refers to and plays quite frequently on previous runners. So
yeah. And I've done many presentations, and you'll probably hear me talk about it again if you're ever in Clover, just the life cycle and when we're focused on the stocks and when we're not. I think once you understand that, trading gets a whole lot easier, because I think a problem that a lot of people have, they do the first step of what we talk about, getting the stocks on your watch list, paying attention to Good Morning NASDAQ, doing the due diligence, but then knowing when to pull them off your watch list is really important, because if not, it's always just sitting there and lingering, and any movement or any little, I think we've all been there where it's a random Thursday afternoon at 1:00 and you see some volume come in on some random ticker that you haven't looked at in days, but it's still sitting in your top right chart somewhere in the corner, and you're like, oh my gosh, something to do. And then you zoom out and it's like really means nothing. You really got to be good about deleting that stuff. I went through last night and deleted probably 10 to 15 tickers. I only got, my watch list is pretty small today. If you're 3 or 4, if you saw it over the overnight, I even had to take one off this morning, so it's even smaller than it normally is. But really got to clean. Sometimes when you clean up your watch list, like cleaning up your office, your room, and you just feel less cluttered because you know exactly these are the plays. It's either this or nothing. Move on. But when you have so many tickers on there, it can be really easy to make some oopsies. I don't know how big your watch list is normally. You're pretty good at keeping it small and staying focused on what matters. I have kind of like really that bug to a light kind of mindset a little sometimes.
Unless it's really hot, yeah. I usually only have maybe 4 to 8 tickers. Only gets about 10 or over if we're in a really hot environment, and that's usually because it's over 10 because 4 or 5 of them are a part of a sector or something. Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Someone asked if NLSP was a first green day yesterday. It wasn't, in my opinion, and I don't have yesterday because I told them the charts are stupid. E-Trade sucks.
NLSP.
But for me, this attempt here, after the big run following MBIO, I believe it was last week, from this stock went from 11 to 45, pretty much faded all day after kind of topping out in the morning. Gap down the next day, had its first red day. The next day, it went green for most of the day. And I really want there to be a trend shift, and a lot of times I want that trend shift to be a red to green move, similar to Kyle's first red day. I really want there to be an obvious switch in the momentum, and we had that. It went from 17s all the way to 22, which is a pretty good size percentage move. It didn't hold up, volume didn't pour in, and it faded back off and went lower. So in my opinion, that was the attempt, and this was, again, just like I'd already deleted NLSP. So when we saw it gapping yesterday, it was as if I was seeing it for the first time again, not a continuation of this run. Someone asked, when is the next Black Swan? If I knew that, I'd be in it.
Right, we would already be long.
I wouldn't be trading all this other crap. I would just be throwing every dollar I have into that one. You can't predict that stuff. It always looks obvious in hindsight. Like I remember when Holo did it, and we were on live trading on a Wednesday here, and you were getting squeezed. I mean, I think we all saw it from a mile away of just like the ex-China, the low float, the manipulated price action, the holding up early. We're like, this could do something wonky, and it ended up going from 4 to 20 that day, and then gapping up more after hours. It always seems obvious, but it's like actually clicking the buttons, being like, this is a Black Swan, and not selling at 6, 7, 8 if you are long from that early idea. Basically impossible unless you are someone that is only hunting for that home run. You will catch it at some point, I guess.
Right. I was gonna say something. With NLSP looks almost identical to MGOL, which was the two tickers that just gapped up into previous resistance that it was set even less than a week ago, and then just faded off. So you can call it a green day, but it's certainly anyone who bought a green day, first green day set about the open, you didn't make money. So that was my only last thoughts on that. But other than that, yeah.
Okay,
ready to rock and roll? Ready for the weekend?
Questions? Yeah, I'm ready. You're in Texas. Probably go to a food truck or something.
Probably. I mean, it's like 90
That's all you guys
degrees
do, right?
out. So I saw some food trucks yesterday.
I think I'm gonna go to Canada.
Walk across
to sit on Lake Erie and just relax.
Walk across the pond.
Someone asked, how's your guys' week going? I'm having a pretty good week. I started the week 0 for 8, and then since then have been I had 4 or 5 in a row green. So it'll be a few grand green to end off the month.
We're this week's a good week. This week is I guess most of the weeks have been like this, but this has been the best week, not in terms of P&L, but in terms of risk reward. Not many big losses and plenty of solid wins. At least from a daily perspective, I only have 2 red days that are negative $1,000 and negative $2,000, and then a 30 grand day and an 8 grand day. So we're up about 35K on the week. So good. Great finish here. So yeah, it's good.
Someone says, in the first green day setup, what's your criteria to draw the death line? Well, give me one. Was Lucy the one we were talking about? If I can get it. Or what's one recently that broke down? Let's see if I can get it here. Give me some runners from the last week that held up for a minute before breaking down. Or attempted first green days. Let me see.
MBIO was good though, right?
Has it gone lower? There you go. Okay, we'll do that. So for me, Deathline is generally associated with potential for it breaking out again. Because in my opinion, the last thing I want to do during the life cycle of a penny stock is generally buy a first green day, in that either it happens without me, or it doesn't happen at all and just continues to fade. But that is the last thing I really want to do. And then I want to say goodbye to the stock, put it in the water, light the arrow and shoot it at it and let it go out into the distance. And that is like, there's no real deadline for me that says like that I'm going to do that, because once I play the first green day, I'm pretty much done with it anyway. But like MBIO here, we have our multiple day fade after having a pretty incredible spike. We have our really successful first green day. That was last Friday. That was a nice one. I did really well in that. It spikes all the way back in resistance. And then you've seen we started to fade. It's just been a real slow fade. But like in this case, like I guess this death line would be like this 50-cent area. And once we start to hold under it, again, I would have deleted this one back here. I'm trying to think, is there any breakout charts recently that, I guess NXL, it did an offering, but we can try to get this one. It's really just the line that I no longer want to watch the stock anymore, because I don't think it can break out again, and it's already gone through every pattern that I have. And that's not an exact science. Sometimes it's easier to find than others. But if I were, I participated in this breakout here on NXL on Wednesday, though we were starting to consolidate, I was watching it for another breakout. Obviously, they did an offering overnight, so we're gapping down big, but we are kind of below that death line. I would have put it right here, where I would have said, as long as we're holding above this 235 area, we're still decent distance from the breakout level of 4. And if we kind of build off of this and grind towards this and eventually break 4, then we can break out. If we break below this 230, this would be a significant higher low break, and we probably fade off. So for me, it's just the area in which I believe it's still possible that the stock can go higher. And under that level, I don't think that in the short term, we are going to be able to go any higher. So it's pretty much just asking myself a question of where that level is. Just like risk levels are, which level do I believe my thesis is still possible? Same thing with the death line. That's why it's called that for me. It's really the last level that matters the most if I'm going to get what I want out of it. Alrighty. Good participation today. I'll be honest, you guys, I didn't quite hit the like number we wanted. We want 50, and we got 47. So if anyone wants to volunteer, came in a little bit late, didn't hear the speech about the like button, hit it for us. Get it to 50 here as we wrap it up. Another great week in the markets. Looking forward to a nice, relaxing weekend. Get outside. Go golfing. Throw a line in the water. Hang out with your nieces and nephews, your grandma, your grandpa, whomever. Be together. Right, Kyle?
Right. I'm going to go take a...
What?
Take a piece of yarn and line and just toss it in.
Toss
not
it
gonna
in.
Fit. Not going to fish. We're not going to go fishing, but we're just going to...
Throw a line in the water. Enjoy yourself. Look at that spurry of likes. Say we're up to 56. That's a golf clap for you guys. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good trading day. Stay patient. Stay disciplined. Here as we hit the halfway point of the year. Just take from this first half of the year what you will, learn from it, grow from it, and get prepared, because the next 6 months is going to be a long stretch. Hopefully we get lots of very fun runners. We have lots of fun here on Good Morning NASDAQ. Maybe we'll do a boot camp as well in person, and we'll have that to look forward to. But it's been a great half of the year so far. We've had a great time spending it with you. We hope you'd enjoyed us being here with you as well. And we'll get right back to it Monday morning, 8:45 a.m. right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. And we will see everyone else over in the room at clovertrading.io. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, everybody.